Noam Chomsky is an American linguist, logician and political activist. He made groundbreaking contributions to the find out about of linguistics, developing a framework of usual grammar and an innate information of language through human beings. While his linguistic research have changed the subject, he is high quality recognized for his political activism, which has been quintessential of American imperialism, the position of the media and unrestrained capitalism. He identifies ideologically as a libertarian socialist and anarcho-syndicalism. Avram Noam Chomsky used to be born on the 7th of December 1928 in Philadelphia, U.S. He used to be born to Russian immigrants of Ashkenazi Jewish descent. He used to be delivered up in the Jewish Trust and learned Hebrew. He additionally obtained a wide-ranging liberal education. He excelled academically, intellectually curious from an early age. He wrote his first article aged solely 10 years, an article which bemoaned the fall of Barcelona to Franco's fascist forces in the Spanish Civil War. He later grew to be interested, by way of George Orwell's homage to Catalonia and its description of anarchist communes. He cherished to go to choice bookshops in New York, the place he used to be drawn to books on socialism, anarchism and political issues. He developed an early attachment to anarchism and a dislike of Soviet-style communism. In 1945, he started reading at the University of Pennsylvania. Initially, he studied a variety of subjects, which include Arabic and philosophy. However, he started out to specialize in the small area of theoretical linguistics. In 1951, he used to be made a Fellow of Harvard University, and in 1952, he posted his first tutorial article, Systems of Syntactic Analysis, which used to be essential of the behaviorist theories of language. The behaviorist theories of language emphasize the function of the surroundings and stimuli that humans are uncovered to. Chomsky was once to look up common patterns of language and grammar that pointed to an innate perception and expertise of language by way of people, something their upbringing. Chomsky additionally championed the concept that people displayed huge creativity in their use of language. In 1953, he went on a tour of Europe and the Middle East with his wife, Carol. On the tour, he spent 6 weeks in a kibbutz, which was once revealing for Chomsky. He had mentioned Zionism as a baby, however used to be disenchanted to discover the attitudes of anti-Arab racism that used to be everyday amongst Israelis. The Goda was once full-size for forming his attitudes closer to the Arab-Israeli fighting and his commonly essential mindset toward Israel and the U.S. Guide of Israel. In the American Jewish community, there is little willingness to face the reality that the Palestinian Arabs have suffered a huge historic injustice, anything one might also assume of the competing claims. Until this is recognized, dialogue of the Middle East disaster can't even begin. Chomsky, Peace in the Middle East? Reflections on Justice and Nationhood. 1974, page 54. Noam_Chomsky_, 1977. In 1955, he received a instructing put up an assistant professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. He was once free to pursue his linguistic studies. He persisted to increase new thoughts which clashed with the current orthodox views. Chomsky argued that language is a special capability for humans, which distinguishes us from different animal species. Initially, there used to be good-sized resistance to Chomsky's new views on the shape and supply of language. However, over time, he grew to be one of the most broadly mentioned pupils in America. Also, he was once incredibly viewed as a teacher, and many of linguistic college students grew to become experts in their personal right, and they helped to enhance and beef up Chomsky's new ideas. Opposition to the Vietnam War in 1962, Noam Chomsky started out talking in opposition to American involvement in Vietnam. He regarded American movements to be successfully an invasion, included up with diplomatic niceties. As the hostilities escalated, so did Chomsky's opposition. He grew to be an activist taking section in sit-ins backyard the Pentagon and took section in different nonviolent civil disobedience, such as a refusal to pay 1/2 of his taxes. In 1967, he co-founded the anti-war collective Resist, which used to be a grassroots activist organization. Amongst the moves was once to hand in the draft, playing cards of younger guys who refused to be a part of the U.S. Army. Chomsky used to be arrested on severe occasions. In 1967, he wrote The Responsibility of Intellectuals, posted in the New York Review of Books. In this article, Chomsky criticized American moves in Vietnam, however. Additionally, the position of the media and intellectuals in being subservient to the government's misinformation and human rights abuses. The question, "What have I done?" is one that we may additionally properly ask ourselves, as we examine every day of sparkling atrocities in Vietnam. As we create, or mouth, or tolerate the deceptions that will be used to justify the subsequent protection of freedom. Chomsky, The Responsibility of Intellectuals, 1967. This and different articles have been posted in his first political ebook, American Power and the New Mandarins. It installed his popularity as a main left-wing anti-establishment intellectual. It led to each reward and criticism. However, he used to be mostly not noted with the aid of the mainstream media. Chomsky was once additionally put on a listing of Richard Nixon's most important political opponents. The elite domination of the media and marginalization of dissidents that outcomes from the operation of these filters takes place so naturally that media information people, often working with whole integrity and goodwill, are in a position to persuade themselves that they select and interpret the information objectively and on the foundation of expert information values. Chomsky, a propaganda model. In the 1970s, Chomsky posted greater works which have been indispensable of American involvement in Southeast Asia and Israel. He posted one Learn About, which confirmed how American-backed Indonesia dedicated crimes in East Timor. Chomsky claimed these crimes have been related to the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. However, the media insurance of the two atrocities used to be totally different. To Chomsky, it confirmed how selective media insurance used to be forgiving to human rights abuses with the aid of American-backed countries, however exaggerated the crimes of ideological opponents. In 2002, he traveled to Turkey to shield a writer charged with treason for publishing a Chomsky book. Chomsky insisted on being charged as a co-defendant, and the worldwide media insurance led to the costs being dropped. Chomsky visited bother spots around the world. He visited Vietnam in 1972, and Nicaragua in 1985, and Palestinian territories in 1988. Chomsky felt it was once necessary to meet everyday human beings caught up in the warfare to get a higher image of what was once in reality happening. Throughout his life, he has maintained an energetic hobby in activism in many world issues. He used to be in particular worried about the East Timor conflict. In 1995, he visited Australia to provide lectures on the scenario in East Timor. East Timor finished independence in 1999. In 1988, he posted with Harman, Manufacturing Consent, The Political Economy of the Mass Media. This furthered his work on the notion of mainstream media as a aware or unconscious device of propaganda for vested interests. Noam_Chomsky retired from MIT in 2002. However, if whatever his Political activism increased. He was once rather indispensable of the war on terror, which used to be formulated by means of the Bush administration after the 9/11 attacks. However, Chomsky argued, it was once in simple terms a continuation of the overseas coverage started out beneath Ronald Reagan, aimed at American exceptionalism and the usage of Navy pressure to acquire international influence. He additionally supported protests in opposition to international capitalism, notably, the Occupy motion of 2011. He was once a main parent in criticizing the mainstream of the democratic celebration for its abandonment of working-class roots. Increasingly influential, Chomsky is nonetheless mostly disregarded through the mainstream media. However, the creation of social media and YouTube have allowed Chomsky to acquire a wider impact than in the 1960s and 70s. His talks have been considered by means of thousands and his phase of new wave of socialist politics in America. Chomsky has additionally been energetic in assisting the new environmental movement, arguing that in current a long-time human undertaking is placing the Earth at actual danger of turning into an unstable area to live. Chomsky has been very integral of the President Donald Trump and the U.S. Republican birthday party for doing nothing to address international local weather change. He argues their selection to hold the usage of fossil fuels makes it the most risky agency in human history. It's an indispensable issue. It's an existential threat. Now we have this stunning spectacle of the United States on my own in the world, now not solely refusing to take part in efforts to deal with local weather alternate, however, devoted to undermining them. One, although recognized very tons with the radical left, Chomsky retains in mental independence. Although vital of American democracy, he believes evolution inside democratic establishments have to be pursued over any form of progressive ideal. In the 1970s, he criticized French philosophers for the usage of language which used to be unintelligible to everyday people. He has been crucial of left-wing activists who are seeking to center of attention on conspiracy theories. He argues conspiracy theories are probably to be incorrect and a distraction from the larger challenges ahead. He has additionally criticized Antifa, a left-wing organization which seeks to bodily confront the some distance right. Despite the many challenges faced, he stays hopeful humanity will pick to make the proper choices. He frequently argues the hassle is now not humans, however establishments which work in opposition to humanity's innate desire to be good. In the ultimate analysis, we usually have two choices. We can select to descend into pessimism and apathy, assuming that nothing can be done, and supporting to make certain that the worst will happen. Or we can hold close the possibilities that exist, and they do, and pursue them to the extent that we can, for that reason assisting to make a contribution to a higher world. Not a very tough choice. Chomsky is now not affiliated with any precise religion. When requested if he used to be an atheist, he answered he didn't apprehend what an atheist was once. Ho may want to you now not trust in anything. He is very fundamental of elements of the Old Testament which